Our first presenter is Ibu Silvina Arifah. She is from Lembaga Bahasa LIA Jambi, and today she is going to deliver the result of her research, the implementation of first-minute quiz in boosting students' responsibility and awareness in flipped learning. Ibu Silvina, you have 25 minutes, including question and answer. Answering questions from the participants, and then so participants, will you welcome questions in the middle of your presentation, Bu, or should
I think at the end of the presentation will be okay, Bu Astrid.
Thank you. Okay, so please wait until Ibu Silvina finishes with her presentation before you ask the question. Okay, Bu Silvina, I have set my timer to 25 minutes, so you can start now.
Okay.
Sorry, let me stop sharing.
Okay, so can I share my screen now, Bu Astrid?
Please.
All right. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi everyone. So thank you very much, Bu Astrid. So please allow me to share my screen first. All right. Can you see my screen, Bu Astrid?
It's still loading, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
Okay, it's showing now.
All right.
Yeah, it's showing now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Silvina Arifah from LIA Jambi. In this occasion, I'd like to share my research results about the implementations of first-minute quiz in boosting students' responsibility and awareness in flipped learning. Well, there will be 7 parts that are going to be covered during this presentation. But before I go on to the next explanation or sharing, would you please, can I ask you for 1 or 2 questions first? So it's going to help me, or it's going to give me explaining about my research later on. Okay, as you known before that it's related to flipped learning. So first questions is, please pop up your response in the chat room. My question is, what do you know or about flipped learning? I believe that especially LIA teachers have already known about the flipped learning. Can you please pop up, Bapak Ibu? What do you know about flipped learning? Your response in the chat room. Yes, thank you, Ibu Maira. Students can learn materials individually before they come to the classroom. Prepare students for the class. Yes. Learning, some students learn before the class. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, that's the brief explanation that we know about the flipped learning. So students were given something or some topics that they need to learn before they came to the classroom. And the last questions, as I mentioned before, there are only 2 questions. Did you find any problems, and could you mention at least one of your problems that you found when applying this flipped learning? What problems did you find, Bapak Ibu? Yeah, the student do not do the flip materials, almost never done the flip materials. Yes, they don't even open it. Only very few do it. Students are confused. Yes, that's right. Yes. Thank you so much for your answers, Bapak Ibu, for your responses. And it also happens to my class. Okay. And let me continue my presentations. So, wait, yes. So as teacher, our part is to provide the best learning experience for our students, right? Facilitate them with the most effective learning models, materials, media, activities, and also we need to help them build their skills, such as 21st century skills. So one of the most important things that we have to consider is the learning models, right? Why? Because it's the foundations of the learning process. that will give us a big pictures of what and how are we going to help our students to reach their goal in learnings, right? Flipped learning is one of the models or the suggested models which also has been applied in Lembaga Bahasa LIA recently. Here, the students are, as you have mentioned before, the students are prepared with the fixed material, which is commonly known as the flipped materials, for them to prepare before they come to the face-to-face sessions or to come to attend the classroom. So that this demands the students to be more aware and responsible to their learnings. However, applying the new model is not as simple as the theory. There could be several problems appear, such as what you have mentioned before. I also experienced this happen to my class. Some students or almost students didn't do the flip materials. They got confused, and some of them did, but when they came to the classroom and I asked them the question, and it seems that they still puzzles. They got lost. So here, to cope with these problems, there could be several things we as a teacher can do. Here, I tried to implement a quiz which I call the first-minute quiz. Why I call it as the first-minute quiz? Because it is going to be done in the 5 to 10 minutes as a max in the reviewing sessions for the flip material. So I mean that it is done in the beginning of each meetings. So yes, here we prepare the students with the flip materials, and that's the reasons why I conducted this research to. Coming from the problems that I mentioned previously and the expectations on skills I'd like my students to have by implementing the first-minute quiz, so I formulated a few questions about my research. The first one is I would like to see how the first-minute quiz can boost the students' responsibility in flipped classroom, and then the second one, how the first-minute quiz can improve the students' awareness. And the last one is how can the first-minute quiz affect the students' collaboration during flipped classroom. So to guide me in doing this kind of research, I also look up for some theories regarding to the key important key terms related to my studies. The first one is the flipped learnings. Here you can see that Basel says that flipped learning requires students to learn and access learning materials outside the classroom. And then the theory about the responsibility. Responsibility is the key to development and learning, just like what David and Muriel said. And here I'm also trying to define what the first-minute quiz is. It is a traditional yet interactive activity which is used to encourage students to really access and see how far the students understand the flipped materials during before the face-to-face sessions. So, okay. This research was conducted in January 2020. It's conducted on offline before the pandemic reached Indonesians in LIA Jambi, and there were 12 students from GEE, or we call it General English Learner, a General English Elementary in level 1. Most of the students were senior high school students, and the rest of them were college students. And this data of this research was collected through observation using teacher's journal to see the students' behavior during implementing the first-minute quiz. And also the online questionnaires was distributed at the end of the research to see the brief perceptions of the students on the implementation of the flipped learning material on the first-minute quiz. First-minute quiz. And then Classroom Action Research Model really suited this research because I'd like to see the change and the improvements in the learning process. So when we conducted a classroom action research, so we have to follow these 4 steps for in one cycle: planning, action, observe, and reflect. In planning, as usual, we need to prepare the lesson planning, and here especially I need to prepare the quizzes. And then action, we executed the plan and observe what happens in the classroom. And then after that, we have to reflect what works and what didn't. And after that, when we are going to go to the next cycle, we need to revise the plan and do the same thing. In this research was done in within 4 cycles. And in analyzing the data, I follow the technique from Bern 2010. The first one, assembling the data and then coding the data based on the research question and comparing the data from the teacher's journal and then the questionnaires, and then interpreting the meanings. And last one, reporting the outcomes in the form of this paper. And then what about the results? Okay, I could say that it was satisfying enough. And let me show you the first one in cycle 1. The students were confused with the quiz given, so that most of them were passive, because in the previous meetings, I just showed them the Google form of the materials and then ask them the question. So, but in this cycle, in this meeting of the cycle, I gave them the paper-based quiz, and then they got to do it in individually during less than 5 minutes. So that's why they were confused at first. And then for the next one, because they have informed that they would done such a quiz for the next meeting. So it seems that they had been prepared, and I can see that they become more responsible and aware on the flip materials, on the what we call on the urgence of the flip materials. And then because here I can see there is an improvement, and I go to the cycle 3. In cycle 3, as another research questions that I need to find the answers, I want to see the students' collaboration. So I did when in the cycle 3, I did the same thing. I gave the paper-based quiz first around less than 5 minutes. They got to do it individually, and after that, I ended up grouped the students, and they got to share what they have learned from the flip materials. So, see, the collaborations also took place at the time. Actually, in cycle 3, the aims of doing this research had been already reached, but I just conducted the cycle 4. To see the consistency of the results, and also to see whether any other improvements take place. So I conducted cycle 4. Yes, here I can see that the students become more active and also become more engaging. And even the most, I had one of the most silent students at the time. He was a man, and at the time when I grouped them, and he had tried his best to share what he has got from what he has got and learned from the flip materials. And also in cycle 4, I just didn't only group them once, but I tried to group them many times so that they can move around. And yes, it took around 10 minutes actually. And last one, these results were also supported by the numbers of the students who access the flip materials, and also the number of the students. The frequency of the students access the flip material. So you can see here in cycle 1, 10 out of 12 students, only 10 out of 12 students came at a time, and then 7 of the students accessed the flip materials, and 5 of the students only access 1, and the rest, the 2 students access the flip materials, even 2 and 3. And in cycle 2, also there were also 10 students came, but there is a slightly decrease here. 6 students access the flip materials, but we can see an improvement here. Only 1 student access the flip material once. It means that 5 of them, 5 of them access it twice, 3, even 4 times. So I can see their names in the flip materials. And then in cycle 3, there were 12 students came, and then all of them access the flip materials, and two of them access once, and the rest access it more than once. In cycle 4, there were numbers of students who came, only 9 students came, and then only 6 of them access at a time, and then 5 of them only access once. There is a slight decrease. I mean that the numbers of the students that access the flip materials decrease, and then the frequency also decrease here. I don't know what's the reasons, but by looking at here, this one, by looking at this result, it didn't show that they didn't understand the flip materials. It didn't show that they were not responsible or not aware. But here shows that they were more engaging. They could share what they have got from the flip materials. Okay.
Bu Fina, you have 5 more minutes to go.
All right. Thank you so much, Bu. Okay. So and then what about the students' answer about the question from the questioners? Some of the students say here, you can see on the right top, dengan kuis ini saya merasa saya harus mempelajari material karena akan memantapkan materi yang saya pahami. And then also this one, sering melihat flip materials. Yes, we can see here some of them even access the flip materials twice, 3 times, or 4 times. And there is another one, an interesting one that I also found, sangat berperan karena adanya kuis ini membuat saya tidak hanya mengerjakan flip materials tetapi juga memahami bahkan mencatat materi yang diberikan. And yes, so that's why maybe what happened in cycle 4, that was satisfying. Well, the last one, what about the conclusions? Yes, here I can conclude that the first minute quiz triggered the students' responsibility toward learning. In this case, was the learning the flip materials, and then the students were aware that it was compulsory for them to complete and comprehend the materials at the same times as a preparation before attending the face-to-face learning session. And the students could work collaboratively as well. So it reveals that the first minute quiz is able to improve the process of teaching and learning, especially the reviewing session in a flip models. And let me show you some of the paper-based quiz that I prepared for my students. I vary the questions for each cycles, and also I vary the activity. And yes, I hope for teacher researchers who would like to conduct this kind of research in the same field, so maybe you can use both of offline, integrating both of offline or online applications regarding in implementing the quiz. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for listening. And finally, I hand over the screen to Ibu Astrid. Okay, thank you, Ibu Astrid.
Thank you, Ms. Silvina, and thank you for the questions posted in the chat room. We are going to answer question one by one because we don't know how long the explanation is going to be like. Yeah, so we are going to start with the questions, yes, plural, from Pak Yono, the head of TTD. He asked these questions, and it is echoed by some of the participants in the chat room. These are the questions, Bu Silvina. How different is the quiz that you give, the 1 minute quiz, from the first minute quiz from the safeguard task? That's question number 1. And then typically, how is the quiz is like? I think you have shown some of the examples, yeah? And then can the same technique be applied to different skills? I think you can answer all the questions in one session ya Bu. One time. Once. Okay, silakan Ibu.
Pertama, the question is from Pak Yono. Thank you for the questions, Bapak. I guess hopefully I can answer it well. How different it is? I try to design the quiz. The questions are the same. The questions are the same, but I just if we see that in the Google form, there are questions, and then the student have to answer. If it is like a question and then A, B, C, D, but in the what we call in my quiz, I make like fill in the blanks. Okay, so there is no options there. So that is the differences. And then if it is like what do we call for the listening questions in the Google form, so I will type the script of the listening, and then I will put some blanks, or I will put some wrong words in the script, and then I will distribute it to the student, and I want them to let's see if it is blank, so I want them to complete the blanks with several information, or if it is if the script consists of the wrong word, so they need to find and they need to exchange it. Okay, I think that's how is it different from the safeguard questions, Pak Yono.
Okay, and is it applicable to other skills as well?
Now, of course, yes, Bu. Okay. It is applicable for listening or for the writing, or like grammar or vocabulary ones.
Okay, so thank you for the answer, Ibu. I will go over the question in chronological order. Okay, so the next question is from Ibu Bhakti, if I'm mistaken. She said she asked question whether you modify the already existing flip materials as your first minute quiz, or is it completely new?
Oh, okay, fine. So, as what I explained before, yes, I modify the questions for the first minute quiz, like what I have given an examples to Pak Yona's question. So, if it is in the form of what we call, if in the flip materials the questions look like the questions, the answers for the questions in the form of multiple choice, so I change it into like fill in the blanks or error recognitions. That's all. Okay,
thank you for the answer. I think this is going to be the last question. This one is from Ibu, I think this is from Ibu Dian Rahmawati Malang, am I right? She asked this question: in the third cycle, the level of participant is 100% who access the flip materials, but in the last cycle there are only 50%. What do you think happened?
Oh, okay. Yes, it's also come into questions for me whether whether it is because of the they didn't, only half of them didn't access the flip materials. I guess that maybe they didn't aware we can conclude that maybe the students didn't wasn't aware that the urgency of the flip materials, or maybe they are not responsible, their responsibility lessons at the time. But as I shown you in the in cycle 4, even the most silent students at the time could engage in the activity, and then they can show their he can also share his knowledge about what he had learned in the flip material. So actually, I cannot really assume that they were not responsible to the flip materials, and they were not aware. But in the classroom, it was different.
Okay, thank you. This is the last question, Ibu. This is from Ibu Diah Retno from Palembang. So the enabling objective or the objective of the quiz is to confirm. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay, so is it in our method we have that? How is it different from the WhatsApp session that we usually conducted before the Zoom session? And then is the quiz done individually or in group? Okay.
Can you repeat the first question, Ibu?
First question is, so is the objective of first minute question to confirm their understanding of the flip materials, or the objective of the session that they are going to join later soon? And how is it different from the WhatsApp session? Because we have that WhatsApp session, right? Before we go to class. Or
I see.
And then is it done individually or in group?
Okay, thank you for the questions, Ibu Dia. Okay, so the first one is I mean, or
maybe before you answer this question, when did you conduct the research, Ibu? Because okay, so
thank you for the So actually, I conducted this research before the corona reached Indonesia. So of course we haven't applied the online classroom at that time. So there is no WhatsApp sessions yet. So all of the quiz was done in the classroom, Ibu Dian. And then the objective, of course, the same. To prepare the students, and to make them more understand about the flip materials before they come to the classroom.
Okay, so Ibu Dia, and then all the participants in this room, Ibu Silvina is the. Oh yeah, so while I am I'm explaining this, Ibu Silvina, would you mind showing the samples again? Ibu, one of the participants wants to know more about that. Okay, so Ibu Silvina is actually the winner of last year's full paper competition. So she conducted the research before we implement the online learning. Yeah, but we have started with the blended learning, the blended model. So that is what her research is based on. Okay. I'm afraid we cannot have address more questions, Ibu Silvina. Thank you very much for sharing the result of your research. The recording of this session, the PPT slide of Ibu Silvina's presentation, as well as her full paper is the full paper is already available in our website, yeah, Bapak Ibu. But the recording and the PPT slide are going to be available a bit later. Okay, thank you, Bu Silvina.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bapak Ibu. Thank you.